two, one. Hi guys, it's Miss Sarah from the West Bank Club, and I have got Dr. Talisha here to talk about her really awesome career. So Dr. Talisha, could you say what your career is and briefly explain for everybody what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. I am Talisha, or Dr. Talisha, and I am a veterinarian neurologist and technically neurosurgeon. And so that's kind of a lot of big words, but basically that means I'm an animal doctor, but I specifically only treat the nervous system. So the brain, the spine, and any kind of muscular disease that a patient, cat, dog. I look at horses, cows if I have to, but that they may have. So my job is to figure out the problem and try to treat it.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So growing up, like in elementary school, middle school, high school, what were your favorite subjects?
Yeah, good question. So interestingly enough, for me, I always enjoyed the sciences, kind of in essence of why I think I'm here now. And my mom actually is a nurse, a retired nurse, and she actually got me interested in the medicine side of things. And so kind of putting the best of worlds together. I didn't want to do human medicine, but I loved animals. So I kind of went the route that I am now. And so math and sciences probably were my better subjects and most interesting subjects to me.
Okay, so to be a doctor of vet neurology to help
Yep.
pet brains, how
Yep.
much school did you go to? What did you have to complete to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so it is a bit of a process. And so I always say, if it's something you want to do, really think about it. But basically, basically, I obviously went to school, regular school, like everybody else, high school and college, well, middle school, high school. After high school, excuse me, college for 4 years, and then veterinary school for 4 years. And then just like human doctors, we have to do what's called an internship, which is kind of a next level up of general medicine to make sure we really know what we're doing. And then if we want to specialize, which is what I did, then you have to do what's called a residency, just like in human medicine. And that's another 3 years. So from high school to where I am now, if that's what you do and you do straight through, it's 12 years after 12 years after you graduate from high school.
You've got to really like learning about what you do.
You do. You have to enjoy it. You have to want to do it. And if you're crazy enough, like I did, I also did graduate school, which was another few years of my life. So
Love studying, love really nice big books.
yeah.
Well, with all of the education that you have, especially once you got more into graduate degrees and things like that, how does what you learned in school apply to what you do now or not apply?
Yeah, going through college, there were definitely classes that I had to take. And there are specific, I should also say, if you want to get into veterinary school, there are specific classes that you have to take in college as what we call prerequisite courses. And some of those courses are things like biology and chemistry and physics. And I will be honest and say that when I was taking some of those courses, I was questioning why I had to. What do I need physics for? What do I need chemistry for? But the reality is you really do, from knowing chemical compounds of medications that you're giving and how that might react in the body to, especially for what I do as a neurosurgeon, that means I also fix broken bones in the back. And so with fractures of the spine or fractures of the back, knowing physics of how things go well together and put together and angles and things like that actually truly does become important, despite the fact that I didn't want them to be important when I was going through it. So other courses like biology are very important, just knowing the biology of the human body or animal body, which there are a lot of similarities, obviously. So I think most of the courses that I took are probably quite relevant to what I'm doing now. Some more so than others, obviously, like ecology of plants. Did I really need to know that? I don't know, but I did it, so
Just in
yeah,
case.
just in case.
Is there anything that you kind of wish you had learned in school that would help you out now? Or, I mean, it sounds like you took a little bit of everything.
I did. And one thing that I will say that I was fortunate enough to do, most people, if they know they want to do veterinary medicine, do a bit of a traditional route of doing the biology and things like that. And for me, believe it or not, my backup career was going to be psychology. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in bachelor's of art, with my emphasis being on basically in psychology.
Okay.
And I will say that that proved me, that was very good. One of the things you probably don't realize when you're doing veterinary medicine, you go into it because you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with people, or some people do. And actually, a lot of what we do is dealing with the owners, because obviously animals can't talk. And so having really good communication skills and knowing how to deal with clients when they are grieving because of the loss of their beloved pet, actually has been quite beneficial, I think, for me. I would say that others that didn't do the route that I did, which would be many, probably would say they wish they had more client communication skills and dealing with owners, because that's one thing that we don't get a lot of in the curriculum through veterinary medicine.
That would be really important. Because
Yeah,
you deal, I mean, even asking like what's wrong with their pet, be
absolutely.
able to ask the right questions.
Absolutely.
So how long did it take you to get from school to where you are in your career now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm trying to figure out how to think about that, because if you
Well,
include, well,
because it's,
technically, go ahead, I'll let you ask.
well, I've been asking like, when did you start working in your career? But a lot of times people don't want to talk about how long, but it's more kind of how quickly did you settle into your role once you're done with whatever the education was that you needed. So once you got your doctorate,
Gotcha.
how did you get into where you are now?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough that I got a job right away. The university, I did my I did my veterinary school at Mississippi State University. Go Bulldogs. And so I was fortunate. I know, I saw that old Miss Rebel sign in the back, and I know if you're friends with Mary that, I'll forgive you. No, I'm kidding. um, I was fortunate that the university wanted me to come back as a neurologist. And so I, in essence, had a job lined up for me right after finishing my specialty training. So for me, it was right away. And I would say most people who get to the stage that I am, there's enough jobs out there that you get a job fairly quickly. So yeah, right away for me. There was no time lag in that regards. But in terms of getting to where I am ultimately, I technically probably started working in terms of getting money for doing a job with veterinarians or in that field. Probably I started that. I actually wrote it down probably almost about 21 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started young as a vet technician and working in hospitals and getting experience that way. So yeah, it's been a long time coming.
So saying that you were working as a vet tech, was that while you were in school, or was
Yeah.
that, okay.
Yeah, so when I was in college, I knew I wanted to do veterinary medicine, but didn't have much professional experience. And I will say that if you want to do veterinary medicine, one of the things we look at across the board is how much experience you have and how much training or work with animals you've done. That's a huge thing, right? And so knowing that, I started trying to get experience basically when I was in undergraduate, and I would in the summers try to work at vet clinics and things like that, which I did do.
Is that something that's typical of most vet schools and vets in general, that they start working before they start working?
Yeah, and even if you don't do it in terms of employment, we look for, so I will say, having been in an academic setting and being on the admissions committee of not the admissions committee, but the interview process, because we actually interview candidates for acceptance into veterinary school at Mississippi State. Not everybody does it the same way. But if you have little to no veterinary experience as a candidate, you're already kind of at the bottom of the list, because we don't know how you're going to perform and really truly what's your dedication to the profession, because it is one that requires a lot of time and effort and dedication. So yes, if you have an interest in veterinary medicine, what I would encourage you to do is start young. Start now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome advice. I wouldn't have thought about that necessarily, but that wasn't something I was interested in, but it's awesome to
right.
have that advice. So what would you say going into your career? You've talked about how to deal with the animals that you care for. They're humans. Would you
Right.
say that's the most unexpected part of your career, or would it be something else, just kind of weird opportunities you've had, anything like that?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things is definitely communication. I think that a lot of things can go right with appropriate and good communication, but then a lot of things can go absolutely wrong. And so I think that is probably one of the more unexpected things, just from when I was young, thinking about wanting to be a vet to where I am now and knowing how important that is. Um, I would also say that I don't do private practice or own my own business. Like I said, I work for the university, but I will say if that is something that you're interested in doing, to go out and own your own clinic, as a general practitioner, then the business side of things is also equally important to learn. Management of a hospital and management of your staff that work with you and your colleagues is important. So, and I wouldn't have ever thought of that before. I think the other thing that's unexpected for me when I wanted to be a vet, it was literally, I wanted to be a vet. And I really didn't know all of the different areas that veterinarians are important in the world. I've got friends that work with the military and work with military working dogs as veterinarians that are in the military doing food supply chain, food inspection. I've got friends that are like me, other colleagues that are specialists from, as I am a veterinary neurologist, to ophthalmologist, so eyeballs, internal medicine, so all the internal organs, to surgeons who literally just fix broken bones and take out bad organs. Every specialty that you could think of on the human side, we basically have in veterinary medicine. And I don't think a lot of people, if they're not exposed to it, know that. So veterinary behavior, animals with behavior problems, trying to figure out what's wrong with them and figure out that. Veterinary pharmacists.
Get an interview with one of those.
Yeah, see? And so there's a lot of areas that we are in, not just private practice setting.
Like take your
I
dog
wouldn't have never
take your dog to the cat and to
exactly
would
to
think
the
of.
general setting exactly is what you think of taking your dog to your local veterinarian.
So what would you say the hardest part of your career is? I mean, you brought up there's a lot of education, the communication wasn't expected. Is it just kind of all of that, or would you say it's something else?
Yeah, no, for me, I think it is not being able to fix every patient or save every life. I think that's a hard pill to swallow, because I think that if you're getting into veterinary medicine in general, I hope that you're doing it because you truly care about the patients that are coming to you or being brought to you. And I would say it is difficult sometimes, and there are challenging cases sometimes that really pull at your heartstring, and finding that balance of knowing that you did everything that you could for that patient and for that owner, but that there are some diseases that are unfortunately just bad diseases that we can't fix right now. Medicine is working towards getting there. One of those diseases for me as a neurologist is a really bad brain tumor called a glioma. They just have really bad outcomes, even in our animal patients, despite things like taking the tumor out and following it up with other things, other medicines after surgery. And so it's challenging, but not becoming what we talk about in the veterinary world now as compassion fatigue, where you wear yourself out so much because of the fact of the amount of yourself you pour into your patients and pour into your clients. That's challenging. And that's something that I think the veterinary community is learning to deal with now.
Yeah, and that can definitely be a hard part of it.
Yeah.
I know that we've had history of like sad stuff happening at vets, so that cannot be easy when that happens. And
yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say the best part of your career is?
Yeah, so I think it's the actual opposite, which would be fixing them. Those challenging cases that come in that, you don't know or you could probably fix it, but it's, having the owners being willing to let you try, or, wanting to let you try. And for me as a neurologist, like I said, one of the things I deal with is brains and spines. And just like in people, we can get what we call bulging disc, where you have really bad back pain. But in our patients, when they get that, sometimes it actually paralyzes them. And for the kiddos, basically that means they can't walk, they cannot use their legs. And so for me, one of the most rewarding things is taking one of those dogs or cats that come in and they can't use their back legs, and doing surgery. And within a week or so, they're walking. Yay. So yeah, I know that's one of some of the more yay, some of the more rewarding things that I get a chance to be a part of every day.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I asked this for Dr. Mary when I talked to her. What is the most atypical animal that you've ever dealt with? I know she's done like tigers and stuff, and like baby giraffe. So what's kind of the most random animal you've ever had as a patient?
Well, we had I've had bald eagles, which are pretty cool. Yeah, I've got photos of me with bald eagles. That would probably be, we've had other things come in. Actually, Mississippi State now has a working relationship with a marine center. And so we see dolphins sometimes as cool. Well. Yeah. So before I did veterinary, before I am where I was today, one of the other careers I had was I was a zookeeper for the Memphis Zoo. And so I got to
you got lots of stuff.
So I got a lot of cool stuff in that regards too. So I was a sea lion trainer. So yeah. So I have a lot of animal experience, including zoo animal.
There you go.
Yeah.
When you say as a patient, bald eagle.
Yeah, as a patient, probably an eagle. Yeah.
So if someone wanted to grow up to be Dr. Talisha, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, start early. Seriously, it still would be start early. If you know this is something you're interested in and you're passionate about veterinary medicine, get involved, go volunteer with animals, get a lot of animal experience. And I can't stress enough how competitive it is to get into veterinary school. The number of veterinary colleges has definitely grown a little bit since I started. When I first started, there was only 28 veterinary schools in the US. And if you think about the number of medical schools that are out there, 28 isn't that many.
That's not even one a state.
Yeah, not even one a state. And like I said, the number has grown since then. I don't know exactly where it is now. I would say it's probably at best mid-30s for the number of veterinary schools. So still not that many. And so I say that because that means it's competitive. And so grades are important. I can't stress to you enough how important, and especially grades in the areas of math and science. That's very important. So network, start getting involved. I know that many colleges will do things like vet camps over the summer and stuff like that. I know Mississippi State does that. So yeah, get involved, start early, and grades are absolutely important.
Well, that's some really great advice. I mean, we've got some younger kids that I know love animals, so I'm going to tell them to get with it if they really want to do what they say they want to do. So that's awesome advice.
Yes. Yeah. Find if they have a local veterinarian, start talking to their local veterinarian and seeing if they can, do stuff like volunteer there one day, a weekend during the summer or something like that, just to get experience and kind of see. I would highly recommend to find a veterinarian that you can meet and maybe shadow, go hang out with for a day, to make sure it's really something that you want to do, because it's a lot.
Now, I know I was really into medical stuff, and then I realized I can't really deal with bodily fluids pretty quickly.
Right? Yeah. It's important to know these things before you spend a lot of time, pursuing it. So, like I said, find a veterinarian, see if they'll let you come hang out for a day. and see if it's something you really have an interest in. And if you still have an interest, great.
There you go.
Keep it going.
Well,
Yeah.
that is awesome advice, Dr. Talisha, and hopefully we can get some more vets out there from our group of kids over here down in Louisiana. Does LSU have a vet school?
LSU does have a vet school.
Okay, there we go. A little bit closer than Starkville.
Yeah,
It slightly converted me down here, so.
Well, now where are you from originally? Mississippi,
Yeah.
I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, I did undergraduate at Millsaps College.
There you go.
I know the area quite well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Grew up there, so, but
awesome.
I'm starting to really enjoy purple, not in combination with gold yet, though. Not in combination with gold.
Not in combination. That's fair. That's fair. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm originally from New Orleans.
Oh.
And my family still lives there. Yeah. So I grew up in New Orleans, went to McMain High School and yada, yada, yada down. So,
wow.
Yeah, if I'm ever in the area, I'd be happy to come and hang out.
Yeah, that would be, definitely let me know. We've got I know a lot of kiddos that love animals, and we have gotten them to put down what they want to grow up to be, and vet was a couple of them. So awesome. Definitely would be interested in that.
I'd love to come chat with them.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. You too. You have a good one. Thanks.